Well, look who decided to drop by. Thanks for clicking on this masterpiece in progress. If you hit that subscribe button, I might just do a little victory dance. No promises on the dance moves, though. All right, enough chatter, let's dive in. The pale glow from the tablet lit up the edges of my glasses as I flicked through our shared calendar. It was Tuesday night, and I was doing what I'd done, without fail, every week of the last 23 years. Review the schedules. Plan ahead. Make sure no details slip through the cracks. That's what a forensic accountant does. We trace the numbers. We catch the outliers. We pull truth from what everyone else overlooks. Quarterly review. JS Thursday, 4 p.m., Marriott downtown. I almost missed it. Almost. Something made me stop. My thumb frozen mid-swipe. Rebecca had mentioned these quarterly reviews for months now. Always on Thursdays, always at 4, always the same hotel. She was diligent with her job, as exacting about details as I was. But this didn't sit right. I set down my coffee. The mug clinked softly against the granite countertop. The kitchen was silent except for the steady hum of the dishwasher and the faint hiss of the shower upstairs. 23 years of marriage gives you a rhythm. Rebecca's nightly shower at 9, in bed by 10, reading her Kindle until 10:30 sharp, patterns, routines, predictability. I opened the calendar's history, a feature I rarely touched. There it was, every Thursday for the last 6 months. Quarterly review with JS. A weight settled in my chest. Quarterly means 4 times a year, not 26. The stool screeched against the hardwood as I stood. My mind was already unraveling threads, running the math. In my work, when figures don't add up, there's always an explanation. And when a label doesn't match the pattern, someone's covering something up. I grabbed my laptop from the office. Fingers flew across the keys. Fast, practiced, automatic. Rebecca's client list, easy to find. We shared everything, or so I'd believed. I searched for anyone with the initials JS nothing. The tension tightened across my shoulders, a familiar pressure I'd felt countless times when sniffing out fraud. The moment you realize the trail leads somewhere you don't want it to. LinkedIn. Next stop. I typed JS into Rebecca's connections. 12 results appeared. I clicked through each one. Jim Sutton, retail, Janet Stevens, nursing, Jeremy Smith, teaching. And then I saw him, Jonathan Sterling, freelance creative consultant, profile picture, early 40s, intentionally messy hair, leather jacket, that studied kind of casual that isn't casual at all. His bio read like an ad. Capturing life's intimate moments. Visual storytelling for the modern age. I knew him. Holiday party, last December. He was someone's guest. Floated through the crowd like he belonged there. Camera slung around his neck like a stage prop. I'd noticed him looking at Rebecca more than once, and she'd laughed, too loudly, too easily, at his jokes. The shower upstairs shut off. 10 minutes maybe before she came down for her nightly tea. Instinct took over. 2 decades of investigation, of tracing breadcrumbs others missed. I pulled up our credit card statements. Every Thursday, Marriott downtown, not restaurant charges, not meeting rooms. Rooms, always the same price, $180. My stomach twisted. The pattern was familiar, painfully familiar, hidden rendezvous disguised as professional obligations. But this wasn't a client file. This wasn't some faceless fraud case. This was Rebecca, my wife. Honey, have you seen my reading glasses? Her voice drifted down the stairs. Nightstand, I called back, steady as stone. 23 years, and I could still predict exactly where she left things. But not this. I snapped the laptop shut, heart pounding in my chest. Wednesday loomed on the calendar, the eve of yet another quarterly review. One last piece of evidence stood between me and certainty. In forensic accounting, we call it the smoking gun, the shard of truth that turns speculation into undeniable fact. Phone in hand, I stepped out onto the back deck for privacy and dialed the Marriott's number. The cool night air hit my flushed face, a sharp contrast to the heat building behind my eyes. Downtown Marriott, how may I help you? Yes, I need to confirm a conference room reservation for tomorrow afternoon. It should be under either Garrison or Pemberton Financial. One moment, sir. Keystrokes clicked faintly through the receiver. I'm not seeing any conference rooms under those names for tomorrow. Would you like me to check Thursday? Please do. Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m., correct? Correct. Another long stretch of typing, followed by a pause that felt like an eternity. I'm sorry, sir. There are no conference rooms booked for Thursday afternoon either. However, the clerk hesitated. There is a guest room reserved under an R. Garrison during that time frame. Room 314. It appears to be a recurring weekly booking, for the past 6 months every Thursday. The deck seemed to sway beneath me. Thank you, I managed, voice tight. That's all I needed. I ended the call and clutched the railing until my knuckles blanched. 6 months, 24 Thursdays. While I stayed late unraveling the crimes of strangers, my own wife was breaking vows 3 blocks from my office. David, are you all right? Rebecca's voice pulled me back. She stood framed in the kitchen doorway, bathed in warm light. One of my old college t-shirts hung loose on her frame, paired with pajama shorts. A towel was twisted around her damp hair. She looked exactly like the woman I'd fallen for at that accounting seminar in Chicago years ago. I'm fine, I lied, turning toward her. Just confirming a meeting. She smiled, a simple, familiar smile. But for the first time in our marriage, I wondered what secrets hid behind it. Don't stay up too late, she said softly. I hate falling asleep without you. As she padded back inside to make her nightly tea, I lingered on the deck, staring into the backyard. The garden she'd planted last spring glowed faintly in the moonlight. The fire pit where we'd roasted marshmallows with her sister's kids sat cold and empty. Everything looked unchanged, yet nothing would ever be the same. Tomorrow was Thursday, another quarterly review. Only this time, I'd be there too. Chapter 2. The Hunt. Sleep never came. Each time I shut my eyes, Jonathan Sterling's face flashed in my mind. His carefully curated LinkedIn smile, his self-styled aura of creativity. By dawn, pale light crept through our curtains. Rebecca was already awake, humming softly as she applied her makeup in the bathroom. You're up early, she said, catching my reflection in the mirror. Big day? You could say that. I pulled on my running clothes, needing movement, something to burn through the storm building inside me. What about you? I asked, feigning casual curiosity. Anything big on your schedule? She hesitated, just a fraction of a second, mascara wand suspended mid-air. Nothing unusual, she replied smoothly. A few client meetings, and that quarterly review this afternoon. The quarterly review, I repeated. With J.S. Johnson Securities, she added without missing a beat, returning her gaze to the mirror. You know how picky they are about their reports. The lie slid effortlessly off her tongue. In all our years together, I thought I'd learned every tell, every nervous tick, every sign of discomfort. But somewhere along the line, she'd mastered deception, and I'd stopped looking for it. I ran 5 hard miles that morning, pounding the pavement until my muscles screamed. Each footfall matched the rhythm of my thoughts. She lied, she lied, she lied. By the time I made it back home, Rebecca was already gone for the day. Her coffee cup sat abandoned in the sink, a faint trace of her perfume lingering in the still air, the expensive fragrance I'd given her last Christmas. At the office, I moved through the motions of my routine like a man underwater. 2 separate meetings about a possible embezzlement scandal at a local manufacturing firm, a conference call on newly issued SEC guidelines. Linda, my secretary of 15 years, appeared with coffee and the morning mail, filling the silence with cheerful updates about her grandson's Little League victory. I smiled, nodded, even muttered a few words. But my thoughts were elsewhere, each minute dragging toward an inevitable hour. When noon struck, I told Linda I'd be out for an off-site meeting. "Might run long," I said. "Push anything scheduled after 2 to tomorrow." She hesitated, searching my face. "Everything okay, Mr. Garrison? You seem tense." Linda had been there for every milestone. Flowers when Rebecca's father passed, a toast at our 20th anniversary party, excuses quietly made so I could sneak away early on birthdays and anniversaries. "Just a complicated case," I murmured. "Sometimes you have to see things firsthand to get the whole picture." The drive to the Marriott was 18 minutes, a route I'd taken countless times for legitimate business, but never like this. Not with my knuckles white against the steering wheel. Not with my pulse slamming against my ribs as though trying to tear free. I parked across the street at 1:55 p.m., choosing a spot with an unobstructed view of the entrance. The valet stand bustled with departing lunch patrons and incoming hotel guests. I slumped low in the seat, grateful for the BMW's tinted windows. At 2:08, a white Lexus rolled up to the valet. Rebecca's car, the one I'd surprised her with on her 40th birthday. She stepped out, and my chest tightened. She was wearing the red dress. The anniversary dress, the one she'd worn the night we danced to our wedding song at Le Bernardin, when she whispered she loved me more with every year we shared. She handed the keys to the valet, glanced at her phone, and her thumbs flew across the screen, texting someone. 3 minutes later, at 2:11, a black Audi pulled in. Jonathan Sterling emerged, all self-satisfied grin and affected charm. Dark jeans, leather jacket, messenger bag slung carelessly across his shoulder. They met at the entrance. The kiss was immediate, urgent, practiced, not tentative, not exploratory. This was the kiss of two people long past awkward beginnings, fluent in each other's bodies, familiar with each other's rhythms. His hand slid to the small of her back, the exact spot where I had placed mine countless times. I don't remember deciding to get out of the car. 1 second I was sitting there, the next I was moving. Chapter 3. The Confrontation. "Rebecca!" My voice cut across the hotel's circular drive like a gunshot. Traffic halted. A bellhop froze mid-step. The valet juggling a Mercedes key fumbled, startled. Every head turned toward the sound. Raw, unfiltered betrayal. Rebecca recoiled from Jonathan as though burned. Shock, guilt, fear flickered across her face in rapid succession before she forced on a mask of practiced composure. "David, what are you? Quarterly review?" I closed the distance in deliberate strides, each step echoing 23 years of marriage collapsing into this single moment. "Is that what we're calling it?" My voice was low, measured. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks a lot like you're about to take this failed artist upstairs." Jonathan stepped forward, hands raised in mock placation. "Hey man, let's just stay cool." The punch came from somewhere deep inside me, somewhere primal. 23 years of being the steady one, the provider, the man who always did the right thing. All of it coalesced into the single arc of my fist driving into his jaw. The impact was brutally, horribly satisfying in a way I had never known. Jonathan hit the ground with a sickening thud, his satchel bursting open, spilling camera gear across the concrete. Lenses spun away, clattering like loose change on the sidewalk. "David!" Rebecca's scream cut through the air as she knelt beside him, frantic hands reaching for his face. "Are you insane?" "Insane?" I stood over them, knuckles aching, voice razor-sharp but steady. "My wife's been sneaking off every Thursday for half a year to meet her lover. And I'm insane?" People were gathering. Hotel guests, staff members, pedestrians passing by, drawn by the magnetic pull of scandal. Phones were out, cameras recording. Good. Let them watch. Let them see exactly what Rebecca Garrison turned me into. "Sir, you need to step back." A uniformed guard advanced, one hand gripping his radio. I raised my palms, stepping away. "No more fighting. I'm done." My voice carried, bitter, defiant. Just a husband documenting the truth about his wife's affair. I pulled out my phone, the camera already rolling. For anyone watching, this is Rebecca Garrison, senior accountant at Pemberton Financial, caught meeting Jonathan Sterling, her so-called partner in quarterly reviews. I panned to Jonathan, zooming in on the blood at his mouth. Except quarterly means 4 times a year, not every Thursday. Odd mistake for an accountant to make, don't you think? Rebecca rose slowly, her red dress streaked with dust. "David, please, not here. We can talk about this in private." "Private?" I laughed, sharp and hollow. "You mean like your private Thursdays in room 314? Yeah, I know about it. Same room every time. Romantic in a predictable sort of way. Was that your idea, or Jonathan's?" Jonathan staggered upright, wiping blood on his sleeve. His carefully cultivated leather jacket aesthetic now looked cheap, like a costume from a play he didn't belong in. "You've got to calm down," he mumbled, lips swelling, words slurring. "This isn't what it looks like." "No?" I took a step closer, phone still raised. "Then what exactly is it?" "Because you're not an accountant, Jonathan. You're a freelance creative consultant. I read your LinkedIn, so tell me, what kind of story are you telling in room 314 every Thursday?" The crowd thickened. Familiar faces appeared, colleagues, acquaintances, even friends from the club. Margaret Chen stood frozen, hand over her mouth. Tom Bradley loitered by the valet stand, shaking his head like a disappointed spectator. 6 months, I shouted, my words cutting through the murmurs. 24 Thursdays, while I was grinding 60-hour weeks to pay for her Lexus, her spa days, her designer wardrobe, she was here, in this hotel, every single Thursday. "Stop it!" Rebecca's composure snapped, her voice cracking into raw desperation. "You're humiliating me." "I'm humiliating you?" I turned fully to face her, the phone unwavering in my grip. "You've been betraying me for half a year. And I'm the one humiliating you. You even put it on our shared calendar, Rebecca. Our shared calendar. Did you really think I wouldn't notice 52 so-called quarterly meetings in a single year?" The security guard muttered into his radio. I caught one word. "Police." "Fine," I said, voice cold as steel. "Let them come." I had no secrets to keep. Do you want to hear what's truly humiliating? Even while standing in front of that crowd, I kept speaking to Rebecca as much as to the strangers watching because I still trusted her. Blindly, stupidly trusted her. 2 decades of marriage, and I never once doubted the late nights, the sudden shopping trips, or the way her face lit up whenever her phone buzzed. I never asked questions. I didn't want to. I was a fool. "You're not a fool," Rebecca said softly. "David. Please." "No," I replied, my voice trembling but loud. "I'm worse than that. I'm a forensic accountant. My entire career is about finding hidden fraud, and I couldn't even see it happening in my own home." I turned my glare on Jonathan. "How much is she paying you?" "What?" His expression was all confusion, or maybe he was just good at acting. "The payments," I spat. $5,000 last month alone." The crowd stirred. Murmurs rippled through them. 5,000? Someone whispered. "I assumed she'd hired a trainer," I went on. "Maybe joined some exclusive health program. But that's not the kind of training you offer, is it?" Jonathan's face turned crimson. It isn't like that." "Then enlighten us," I snapped. "Tell everyone here why a married woman would hand you $5,000 and meet you in a hotel room every single week." "David, stop." Rebecca's voice sharpened into the controlled tone she used at corporate meetings, the one that silenced entire boardrooms. "Those payments were for what?" I cut her off. "Photography services." "Photography?" I barked a laugh. Was he taking family portraits? Holiday cards? Because I'm pretty sure those aren't the kind of pictures you hang over the fireplace. Chapter 4. Public Ruin. Two uniformed officers pushed through the sea of spectators, their presence cutting through the tension with practiced ease. The older one, a sergeant, judging by his stripes, took one quick look at the scene. Jonathan's bleeding lip, my clenched fists, Rebecca's tear-streaked face. "Sir," the sergeant said evenly, his hand resting near his belt, "I'm going to need you to step over here." I reached into my wallet and pulled out my business card, offering it with shaking hands. "David Garrison, forensic accountant. I hit him once. He's been sleeping with my wife. I'll cooperate fully." The sergeant studied the card, then glanced between Jonathan and Rebecca. "Mr. Sterling, do you want to press charges?" Jonathan touched his swollen lip and looked at the circle of people still recording with their phones. "No," he muttered quickly. "No charges, I just want to go." "Not yet," the younger officer interjected. "We need everyone's statements first." While they sorted out the paperwork, I kept my phone recording. I turned toward the crowd, raising my voice. "You all want to know more about those payments?" I asked. "I did some digging last night. Mr. Sterling here? He's not just a photographer. He calls himself a boudoir photographer. Specializes in intimate portraits for the modern woman. His Instagram is full of it, all very artsy." Rebecca's face went pale. "David, stop." "Oh, should I not bring that up?" I shot back. "The secret photo shoots you never mentioned? The ones worth $5,000 a month?" I scrolled through my phone, holding it up. "Look, here's his profile. Gorgeous black and white shots, very tasteful. I wonder which ones are my wife." "That's enough," the sergeant barked. "Sir, you've made your point. Let us handle this properly." But it was far too late for damage control. Dozens of spectators were already searching Jonathan Sterling's name online, whispering, showing each other screens. A gasp here, a muttered curse there. The scandal was already spreading. "For the record," I said, my voice cracking but loud enough to carry, "I'm not the villain here. I'm the husband who found out his wife's quarterly reviews were really weekly hotel rendezvous. I was the one burning midnight oil day after day to build a future for us. Meanwhile, she was building something else entirely, with Mr. Leatherjacket over there." "You don't get it," Rebecca said, her voice gaining an edge it hadn't had before. "You were never there, always working, always buried in cases and clients. When's the last time you actually looked at me? When's the last time we did anything that wasn't squeezed between your meetings?" "So your solution," I said, laughter sharp and hollow, "was to schedule your own appointments? Every Thursday, 2 to 4. Very efficient, very accountant of you." The laugh tore out of me bitterly. "Tell me, did you charge him by the hour, or was it more of a flat fee arrangement?" The younger cop in the corner was fighting a grin. The crowd, riveted. Real life outshining any soap opera. 23 years, I said, voice splintering mid-sentence. 2 kids through college, your mom's cancer, the flood that wiped out our first house. We fought through all of that. And what ends us? You got bored. "It wasn't boredom." Rebecca's protest cracked in the air. "Jonathan sees me. He doesn't just see a wife and a set of numbers. He makes me feel alive." "Alive," I echoed flatly. "Young. Special. Wow. Straight out of the midlife crisis handbook." I turned toward Jonathan, who was fumbling with his scattered camera gear, trying not to meet my eyes. "Tell me," I asked him, voice low, "did you mention your ex-wife? The one constantly posting about your serial cheating? Or the bankruptcy from 2 years ago?" "Yeah, I looked into you. Forensic accountant, remember?" Jonathan's jaw tightened. "You don't know anything about me," he muttered. "Oh, I know enough," I shot back. "I know you have a thing for married women. I know you hide behind this artist label, but really you're just a parasite with a camera and a leather jacket. 2 studios banned you for inappropriate behavior with clients. Ring a bell? You'd be surprised what comes up with a little digging." A cold smile touched my lips. Shocking, really. That's when the hotel manager showed up, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Perhaps we could continue this conversation inside, he suggested carefully. No need, I said, already turning away. We're finished here. Mr. Sterling won't be needing room 314 anymore. Might want to give it a deep clean, though. 6 months of quarterly reviews leaves a mess. Rebecca let out a sound somewhere between a sob and a scream. You're ruining everything, she cried. I'm ruining everything? My voice exploded back at her. I wasn't the one lying for half a year. I wasn't the one labeling an affair on our shared calendar like I was too blind to notice. I wasn't the one wearing the dress I bought you for our anniversary. To meet him. The red dress. She froze, staring down at it as if seeing it for the first time. Rebecca, I said, my voice breaking. That's the dress you wore to Le Bernardin, the night we danced to it last. The night you told me you loved me more with every year that passed. I swallowed hard. Were you already sleeping with him then? Was that just another Thursday to you? Silence. The crowd's giddy energy drained away, replaced with something heavier, grief, shame, discomfort. Even the cops looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. Chapter 5. The Exit. Mr. Garrison, the sergeant said quietly, almost gently. I think it's time to go. I nodded, suddenly hollow. The adrenaline was gone, leaving only exhaustion and ache. You're right, I murmured. I looked at Rebecca one last time. Your stuff will be on the lawn by 5. The locks are already being changed. I texted the locksmith from the parking lot, and I've called Smithson and Associates. They'll handle the divorce. You can't just... she started. I can, I cut her off. I will. I am. I slipped my phone into my pocket, then glanced at her one last time. Oh, and Rebecca, I added, voice dry. JS? Really? Couldn't even get creative with the affair code? Half a year of lies, and all you left me with were 2 letters? I turned away and headed toward my car. The crowd parted without a word, opening a path like the sea in an old story. Behind me, Rebecca's voice cut through the noise, high-pitched, frantic, calling my name. I didn't so much as glance back. The drive to my office barely registered. It was all motion and nothingness. When I walked in, Linda took one look at me and silently canceled the rest of my day. Whatever this is, Mr. Garrison, I'm here, she said quietly. Get me boxes, I told her. As many as we have, and grab the good scotch from the conference room. She didn't ask why. She just nodded and moved. That was Linda. 15 years on the job because she understood when silence said more than questions. From my office, I dialed Bill Smithson, my lawyer and oldest friend. We'd met in law school, me choosing numbers, him choosing statutes, but somehow never drifted apart. David, Bill answered. How's tricks? I need a divorce lawyer, I said flatly. The best you can recommend. A beat of silence. Then, what happened? Rebecca's been cheating 6 months. I caught them at the Marriott. Them? Her and the photographer she works with. I'll explain later. Come in at 4, he said. We'll start the process. And David, document everything. Payments, schedules, receipts, anything. I already have. Forensic accountant, remember? That's going to be useful. How are you holding up? I stared out at the skyline beyond my window. Somewhere out there, Rebecca was scrambling to protect her career, her name, her curated image. Jonathan, the photographer, was probably tending to his bruised jaw and wiping his online presence clean. I'm angry, I admitted. I'm hurt, humiliated. But mostly, I'm glad it's done. No more wondering. No more trusting someone who didn't deserve it. Hold on to that, Bill said. The next few months will be hell, but you'll get through. After hanging up, I let myself sink into the leather chair and spun slowly, taking in the office I'd built piece by piece. Diplomas lined one wall, awards from the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners hung nearby. And everywhere, photos of Rebecca and me, perfectly staged at company parties and industry galas, smiling for cameras, pretending to be the picture of success. I stood and began pulling them down, one by one. Every frame was a reminder of the lie I'd been living, each smile concealing her Thursday afternoon rendezvous. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It was a link to Twitter. Someone had already uploaded the video. Husband confronts wife's quarterly review affair at Marriott. 14,000 views in the first hour. I watched the clip on the tiny screen. Watched myself, my fury, my heartbreak, my exhaustion. I looked older than I remembered. Grayer, frayed around the edges, a man worn thin by betrayal. When did I become this? This rumpled suit? This middle-aged stranger shouting in a hotel driveway? But there was something else there, too. A quiet strength in the wreckage. I hadn't begged. I hadn't pleaded. I'd spoken the truth clearly, unmistakably, and walked away with what was left of my dignity. Rebecca's ringtone, at last by Etta James, rang out. Once a gesture of love, now it sounded like a cruel joke. I let it go to voicemail. Then I called a locksmith. Chapter 6. The Lockdown. By 4:30, when I pulled into the driveway, the locksmith's van was already parked outside. Tony, same guy who'd rekeyed the office years back, was halfway through swapping out the front lock. "Rush job, Mr. Garrison?" he asked. "You could say that," I replied. Every lock, front door, back door, side entrance to the garage, even the shed, was changed. The garage door codes, too. He gave me a knowing nod. 2 decades in this line of work. This clearly wasn't the first time he'd dealt with something like this. 2 hours, he promised. Separate keys for each lock or one master key? 1 master, 2 duplicates. Inside, I poured myself a generous 3 fingers of Macallan and got to work. Methodical. Precise. The same approach that had served me well in my career. Box by box, I packed Rebecca's things, clothing folded sharply. Couldn't just toss them in trash bags even now. Her jewelry stayed in its original cases, shoes paired and carefully wrapped. In her home office, more clues. Credit card statements I'd never seen. Receipts for lingerie from La Perla. A Victoria's Secret bag, tags still attached. Pieces I'd never once seen her wear. For me, anyway. The bathroom was worse. New fragrances, high-end lotions, a medicine cabinet overflowing with serums, creams, anything to fight back 45 and pretend to be someone else. Then I found the photos, hidden in her underwear drawer, professional shots tucked into a sleek black portfolio. Jonathan had skill, I'll give him that. The images were elegant, almost tasteful. Rebecca in silk, shadows skimming her skin. Rebecca laughing, radiant, looking younger than she had in years. Rebecca in a red dress and then out of it. I shut the portfolio and placed it atop her boxes. Let her lawyer see those. By 5:15, 17 boxes were lined neatly on the lawn. The neighbors had started to gather. Karen from next door was watering flowers already soaked from the morning sprinklers. Bob across the street checked his mailbox for the 3rd time in an hour. Rebecca's Lexus pulled onto the street at 5:22. She parked in the driveway, froze at the sight of the boxes, then spotted me on the porch, scotch in hand. "David, this is illegal. You can't lock me out of my own house." "Our house," I corrected. "The one I paid for. Check the deed. It's in my name. Premarital asset." She tried her key. It wouldn't turn. "This is insane. Where am I supposed to go?" "Not my problem." I took another drink. "Hotel. Your sister's. Jonathan's loft." I let the next line hang in the air. "Maybe he'll give you a discount on room 314. "I need my things, my computer, my files." "All packed. Right there." I gestured to the organized stacks on the lawn. "Even included your photography portfolio." Beautiful work, by the way. Very tasteful. I'm sure the divorce court will love them. Her face drained of color. You wouldn't. Oh, I would. And I will. Adultery still counts in court, Rebecca, especially when there's financial misconduct involved. $5,000 a month from marital funds to bankroll your affair? My lawyer's fascinated by that. It's not what you think. The money was for what? I cut her off. Please enlighten me. What legitimate reason is there for paying your lover $5,000 a month? Her mascara streaked as she cried. The neighbors couldn't look away. He was helping me with a project, she sobbed. A project? I laughed, bitter. Is that what we're calling it? Was the title How to Destroy a 23-Year Marriage? Because that project seems to be right on schedule. A vehicle coasted to a stop behind Rebecca's Lexus, Jonathan's Audi. Naturally, he showed up. The so-called gallant rescuer, leather jacket and all, here to rescue the helpless maiden from her furious spouse. You need to go, I said flatly. This is private property. He ignored me and stepped out anyway, his jaw bruised and swollen, evidence of the punch I'd landed earlier. Rebecca called me, he said. She told me you locked her out. Brilliant observation, I replied. Must be that artist's intuition. I drained the rest of my scotch. Get back in your car before I involve the cops. Pretty sure this is already violating the restraining order I'll be filing tomorrow. You hit me, he shot back. Then go ahead and file something yourself, I said, unfazed. I'm sure the court will be fascinated to hear about your little side hustle, seducing married women, emptying their wallets and calling it art. How many others, Jonathan? How many husbands haven't figured out your quarterly review scheme yet? He shifted uncomfortably. Guilt looked good on him. Rebecca touched his arm. Please, just leave. You're only making it worse. I'm not leaving you alone with him, Jonathan said, puffing himself up. Oh, now you grow a conscience? I stepped off the porch toward him. Where was this noble streak the past 6 months while you were screwing another man's wife? Where was your concern when you were siphoning money out of our joint accounts? David, stop. Rebecca slid between us, voice trembling. Let me just grab a few things. My medication, my laptop for work. Everything's boxed already. The meds are in the blue one, clearly labeled, and the laptop's in your briefcase. Box 3. I turned toward the door without replying. And Rebecca? I said over my shoulder. Pemberton Financial called. You should probably check your voicemail. Something about administrative leave, pending an investigation. Her face collapsed. You called my work? I didn't have to, I said evenly. Apparently someone sent them the video. 14,000 views and counting. I paused with my hand on the doorknob. Turns out quarterly reviews at the Marriott aren't an approved business expense. Who knew? Chapter 7. The Digital Explosion. I shut the door on their stunned expressions and poured myself another drink. From the window, I watched Jonathan haul boxes into his Audi while Rebecca frantically dialed number after number. Within minutes, both cars were gone, just twin sets of tire marks left on the driveway I'd resurfaced last summer. My phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Calls, texts, emails flooding in. The video had spiraled out of control. I thumbed through the notifications. Tom Bradley. Holy hell, David. Was that really Rebecca? My brother, Michael. Why didn't you call me? Are you okay? Rebecca's sister, Carol. What did you do to my sister? My business partner, James, saw the video. Take all the time you need. Unknown number. You're my hero. Caught my wife the same way. I powered the phone off and sat in the oppressive silence of the empty house. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked on steadily, the same rhythm it had kept for 2 decades, a wedding gift from Rebecca's parents. I wondered if they'd seen the footage yet. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Bill Smithson, briefcase in one hand, bottle of wine in the other. Figured you could use both, he said as I let him in. We sat in my office, the divorce paperwork scattered across the oak surface of my desk. Bill remained composed, efficient as always, though I caught glimpses of pity flickering behind his professional demeanor. Massachusetts follows equitable distribution, he explained evenly. The house stays with you. It's a premarital asset. But the investments, the retirement accounts, those fall under marital property. I don't care about the money, I muttered. I just want this done. And alimony? He asked carefully. She earns nearly as much as I do, I said after a pause. Bill's brow lifted. She might not be earning anything soon, I added. Not after that video. He didn't need me to elaborate. Bill unlocked his tablet and turned it toward me. It's everywhere, he said quietly. Reddit, Twitter, TikTok. Someone even turned it into a meme. On the screen, my own face stared back at me, frozen mid-shout, text stamped across the image. When you realize quarterly means 4 times a year. The comments were relentless, a mix of cheers and condemnation. King Energy, expose the cheaters. That poor woman. Humiliation like this is abuse. Who filmed this? Asking for a friend. And people wonder why I don't trust anyone. Did you catch her face when he mentioned the payments? Busted. The red dress detail? Savage. Cold as ice. Fantastic, I muttered under my breath. I'm a meme now. You're not just a meme, Bill said. You're trending. He scrolled further. Local outlets picked it up too. Boston man confronts wife's affair in viral video. They're requesting a statement. No statements. No interviews, I said flatly. Everything I had to say I said in that hotel parking lot. We kept working, the hours sliding past unnoticed. By midnight, we'd combed through everything. Assets, debts, property divisions. Custody? Not applicable. Our kids were grown, small mercies. 23 years of marriage reduced to checkboxes and subclauses. What about the business? Bill asked eventually. You two had joint investments, right? Some rentals in Cambridge. That strip mall in Quincy, I said, massaging my temples. She managed those accounts. Bill scribbled a note. We'll need a forensic accounting review. I'll handle it, I said. He hesitated. David, I'm the best forensic accountant in the city. I cut him off. Who better to dissect my own wreckage? Chapter 8. The Aftermath. The next morning arrived with a pounding headache and 300 unread emails. My work phone was in meltdown. Apparently, every client in Boston wanted the accountant who'd uncovered his own wife's affair. Linda, my assistant, answered each call with impossible composure. Mr. Garrison is prioritizing existing clients. No, he's not available for interviews. No, he will not review your divorce finances. I threw myself into work, burying the grief beneath spreadsheets and tax ledgers. Numbers became armor, clean, logical, mercilessly objective. But every time I opened a joint account statement, another gut punch landed. Charges I'd missed, patterns I should have noticed. She'd been cautious, but not cautious enough. The hotel stays were only the start. There were dinners at restaurants I'd never even heard of. Weekend trips I thought were girls' retreats that aligned perfectly with Jonathan's photography workshops. A jewelry purchase in April, no birthday, no anniversary, no reason that made sense. My phone rang. Rebecca's attorney, Mr. Garrison? Yes? I'm handling your wife's side of the divorce. We need to discuss interim arrangements. Speak to Bill Smithson. I have nothing to say to you. She requires access to funds. At the moment, all joint accounts are inaccessible. You mean the joint accounts she drained to fund her boyfriend's weekends? Those accounts? I reviewed the transactions myself. She can still use her personal checking. The shared accounts stay frozen until the forensic audit is done. That's an extreme response. That's safeguarding marital property. Surely you understand the concept. I ended the call without another word. By noon, the video had already reached 1 million views. My LinkedIn inbox exploded with invitations. 3 prospective clients called, each one specifically asking for the guy from the viral clip. "This is insane," I told Linda. "I'm becoming famous for the worst day of my life." "No," she corrected. "You're becoming known for finally standing up for yourself. Do you have any idea how many people wish they had the guts to do what you did? To expose a cheater? To force them to face the fallout?" "I only wanted the truth to be known," I muttered. "Well, now it's out there," she said. "Really out there." She turned her phone toward me. "Front page of Reddit," she said. The headline read, "Accountant uncovers wife's quarterly reviews are actually weekly hookups, confronts her at hotel. Thousands of comments, gold and silver awards, upvotes skyrocketing, people sharing their own betrayals and revenge stories." I scrolled, grimly fascinated. The way he emphasized quarterly, like 4 times a year, absolute perfection. I feel bad for him, but wow, that was savage. Methodical, cold, like an accounting terminator. Who cheats and puts it on a shared calendar? Photographer tried to get tough and got shut down. Instant karma. This is what happens when you cheat on someone trained to spot patterns. Room 314 will haunt her forever. Wearing the anniversary gift to meet her affair partner? That's a special kind of cruel. Then my son called from Seattle. "Dad, what the hell? Mom's affair is everywhere." "I'm sorry you had to find out like this, Kevin." "Are you kidding? I'm proud of you. My friends can't stop sharing the clip. You're basically a legend now." The quarterly review guy. Sarah's reaction, however, was far less enthusiastic. "Daddy, how could you? Mom's falling apart. She lost her job." "She lost her job because she used company time and resources to cheat, Sarah. That isn't on me. You didn't have to make it public." "I didn't upload the video. I just told the truth, out loud. What happened after? Out of my control. You knew people were filming. And your mother knew she was married. We all live with our choices." The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Rebecca's friends split into 2 camps, half calling me a cruel monster for humiliating her, half quietly admitting they'd do the exact same thing. Her sister Carol left 6 furious voicemails before I blocked her. But other calls were different. Men who'd been cheated on themselves, women who caught their spouses in lies and wished they'd had the courage to speak up. One therapist even reached out, offering free sessions, specializing in infidelity trauma. "Our circumstances are unusual," Dr. Martinez said during my first appointment. "Most betrayed partners hide their pain. You transformed yours into something public, almost symbolic." "I didn't plan any of this," I said. "I just reacted." "Your response came from who you are at your core. A forensic accountant, trained to follow the numbers and uncover truths hidden in plain sight. You couldn't ignore the lie once you recognized it." She wasn't wrong. The very instincts that made me exceptional in my work had drawn me to that hotel. The compulsion to verify, to collect evidence, to strip away illusions and expose reality. That's what guided me there. "How do you feel about the video being everywhere now?" she asked. "Exposed, vindicated, humiliated, proud." A hollow laugh escaped me. "I'm a contradiction in motion." "You're human," she said softly. "And you're processing a devastating betrayal, with the entire world watching." Chapter 9. 2 weeks passed, swallowed in a blur of legal consultations and sudden viral infamy. The video transformed into a cultural talking point, spawning op-eds about modern relationships, the permanence of digital footprints, and the moral minefield of public humiliation. Someone even started selling novelty t-shirts, a mock hotel logo paired with the phrase "quarterly review." I buried myself in the forensic accounting of my own divorce. The discoveries would have fascinated me if they hadn't been so personally devastating. Rebecca had been quietly reallocating money for months. Nothing technically criminal, just deliberate preparation. It was as if she'd anticipated this end long before I did. She opened a separate investment account in January, I told Bill during one of our strategy meetings. Transferred 20 grand out of our joint savings, not a huge amount, but enough to notice if I'd been looking closely. Premeditation, Bill muttered. She was planning her escape. Or financing a new life. I handed him the transaction records. Every deposit lines up with a payment to Jonathan. She was stockpiling cash while funding the affair. This strengthens our case, Bill said. Financial betrayal stacked on top of everything else. I kept digging. I uncovered a burner credit card she'd used for hotel reservations before she got sloppy with the joint account. I found payments to Jonathan labeled as consulting fees for a business that didn't even exist. There's almost an artistry to it, I admitted to Bill grimly. If I weren't the one betrayed, I might almost admire the execution. Meanwhile, Rebecca had moved in with her sister, struggling to salvage what remained of her career. Pemberton Financial terminated her employment, citing misuse of company resources and the public fallout tarnishing their reputation. Jonathan vanished from the internet. His photography website redirected to a dead 404 page. His studio lease was revoked after multiple clients came forward with accusations of inappropriate behavior. The online mob did what it always does, dug up every scrap of their histories and paraded it for entertainment. Someone tracked down Jonathan's ex-wife, who willingly gave an interview about his pattern of targeting married women. Another user uncovered Rebecca's dormant Ashley Madison account, created 3 years earlier but never activated. "You've unleashed a monster," James said over drinks one night. "The internet's tearing them apart." "I didn't unleash anything," I answered flatly. "I just revealed what was already there." Still, the weight of it pressed down on me. The video had evolved beyond me, mutating into its own phenomenon, dredging up truths I'd never sought to uncover. My phone buzzed. Another unfamiliar number. I almost silenced it, but something told me to answer. "David Garrison?" "Yes." "My name's Patricia Williams. I saw your video, the quarterly review one." A shaky breath. "I think my husband's doing the same thing. Different hotel, different day, but the same behavior. Can you help me?" "I'm not a private investigator, Mrs. Williams. But you know how to see the patterns. You know how to find the truth." There was desperation in her voice. "Please, I need to know." I stayed on the line. For the next hour, I guided her. What to check on bank statements, how to trace calendar patterns, what behavioral shifts to notice. By the end, she was sobbing softly. "Thank you," she whispered. I wondered if I was losing my mind. "You're not losing it. Listen to your gut. Did you have any clue? Before everything came out?" I'd wondered. Maybe. There were small signs, details that didn't fit together, but I chose to ignore them. Why check that night? "Because I'm an accountant," I answered plainly. And quarterly means 4 times a year. Chapter 10. The Reckoning. The divorce became official 6 months later. Massachusetts law mandated a 120-day waiting period. That span vanished in a haze of mediations, depositions, and endless negotiations over property. Rebecca walked away with less than she'd hoped for, yet more than she earned. She got 40% of the cash, her vehicle, and her personal effects, including one request that caught me off guard. "She wants the wedding album," Bill told me, "and the anniversary jewelry." "She can take them." By then, I had already packed away every picture, keepsake, and fragment of our life together. The house, stripped of memories, felt sterile, empty, yet oddly pristine, like a crime scene once the evidence has been cleared. The last meeting happened in Bill's conference room. Rebecca arrived looking older, thinner, her tailored designer dresses replaced by a plain black suit. No scarlet dress this time. "Hello, David." "Rebecca." We signed everything without a word. The only noise, the scratching of pens and the faint hum of fluorescent lights overhead. 23 years dissolved into a few strokes of ink. As we stood to leave, she paused. "There's something I need to tell you. I don't think... Please." For the first time in months, she met my eyes. "It wasn't about you," she said quietly. "The affair. You were a good husband. I lost myself somewhere along the way. I didn't recognize who I was anymore. Jonathan made me feel 25 again." "And now?" I asked. She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "Now I'm 45, divorced, jobless, and internet famous, for all the worst reasons. I burned everything down chasing a fantasy." "You did. I know you hate me." "I don't hate you, Rebecca." A pause. "I nothing you." Her face tightened. She flinched. "That's worse, isn't it?" "It is," I said simply. "I guess I deserve that." "You deserve whatever comes from your choices, just like I'll carry mine." I gathered my copy of the divorce decree. Good luck starting over. And then I walked out, leaving her small and hollow in the conference room. The elevator ride down felt like rising from a deep-sea dive, pressure easing, lungs opening, breaking into sunlight at the surface. Outside, Boston glowed under an unusually warm November sky. I stood on the sidewalk, divorce papers in hand, and felt free. Not joyful, not triumphant, just free. My phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. "Proud of you, Dad. Mom made her choices. You just showed the world." Sarah had come around too, especially after she learned about the money Rebecca had hidden. "I shouldn't have put the blame on you," she admitted during one of her visits. "I didn't realize how deep that betrayal really went." By then, the viral video had finally stopped circulating, pushed aside by newer scandals and fresher outrage. Yet its shadow lingered. Dozens of emails had arrived in my inbox, strangers who'd gone digging into their own quarterly reviews after watching mine. Some relationships were mended. 3 couples decided to try again. Others ended. 5 divorces filed in the fallout. Patricia Williams sent a fruit basket with a note attached. "You saved me years of deception. Thank you." Meanwhile, my office had never been busier. Turns out infamy does wonders for a forensic accounting practice. People suddenly trusted me more. If I could expose fraud in my own marriage, surely I could catch someone skimming from their books. One CEO put it bluntly, "If you caught your wife, you can definitely catch my embezzling CFO." That morning, Linda relayed an unusual call. "Podcast wants to feature you," she said. "Topics about modern love and digital infidelity." Pass. Publishers interested too. They want a book. How to spot financial warning signs in relationships. Hard pass. Dating app reached out. They think you'd be a great spokesperson for... "Linda," I cut her off. "No interviews, no books, no sponsorship deals. I'm an accountant, not a celebrity divorce." She smirked. "Had to ask." Then her tone shifted. "But this one might actually interest you." The IRS wanted to talk. Apparently, my forensic work during the divorce had exposed a much bigger tax scheme. Jonathan Sterling hadn't just been taking money from married women. He'd been running an entire side operation. Unreported clients, fake expenses, hidden income. That was the kind of puzzle that made my professional instincts light up. "Set up the meeting," I told Linda. "Time to get back to what I do best." Chapter 11. Epilogue. 1 year later. The hotel was different this time. The Langham instead of the Marriott, but the feeling was eerily familiar. I stood in the lobby, glancing at my watch. 2 o'clock, Thursday. Some routines die hard. But this wasn't a quarterly review. This was coffee with Dr. Elena Martinez, the therapist who had first been my counselor, then my confidant, and now something else entirely. "You're early," she said with a grin as she approached. "Very accountant of you." "And you're perfectly on time," I replied. "Very therapist of you." We found a quiet table in the hotel cafe. She ordered tea. I stayed loyal to black coffee. "How'd the IRS meeting go?" she asked. Productive, I said. Jonathan's looking at serious prison time. My ex-wife wasn't his only victim, just the most lucrative one. I stirred my coffee absent-mindedly. $63,000 in unreported income last year alone. And how does that make you feel? You're off the clock, Dr. Martinez. No need to therapize me. Elena, she corrected softly. And I'm asking as a friend. So, how do you feel? I thought about it for a moment. Vindicated. A little guilty. Mostly resolved. He preyed on people. Rebecca falling for it doesn't erase what he was doing to all those women. And Rebecca? She asked. I was working at a modest accounting firm in Worcester now. Seeing someone my own age, at least Sarah claimed she'd approve. I just shrugged. I hope she's satisfied. I hope she's grown from everything that happened. But that's no longer my problem. Elena smiled at me. That's remarkably healthy. I had an excellent therapist, I said. We let the quiet linger, the kind that feels easy instead of strained. Around us, the hotel hummed, business travelers holding quiet meetings, families dragging kids toward tourist attractions, maybe even the occasional affair unfolding in hushed corners. But I didn't scan the faces anymore, didn't look for hidden betrayals or secret codes in every couple's posture. I need to tell you something, Elena said at last. I'm shutting down my practice. The words hit like a jolt to the gut. What? Why? I've been offered a position at Harvard Medical School, she explained. Mostly research, minimal clinical work, and it means I can finally ask you something I've wanted to for months. My pulse quickened. Ask me what? Would you like to have dinner? A real dinner, not coffee in a hotel lobby. Not as therapist and client, but as two people who might actually enjoy each other's company. I stared at her. Dr. Elena Martinez, the woman who had seen me broken, who had helped me rebuild piece by piece, the one who understood betrayal and forgiveness, and how complicated healing really was. Yeah, I'd like that, I said. The words felt clumsy, but the smile came anyway, rusty from disuse. Fair warning, though, I might still check the restaurant's financial records first. Old habits die hard, she teased. Exactly. She laughed softly. I'd expect nothing less. But David, no shared calendars. I enjoy a little mystery. Deal, I said, but no quarterly reviews. Annual assessments? She countered. Now you're speaking my language. We finished our coffee and agreed on Saturday. As I walked back toward my office, I passed the Marriott. The valet stand was a blur of motion, guests arriving, luggage rolling, life continuing on schedule. I thought about that Thursday, 13 months earlier, the fury, the humiliation, the public scene that changed everything, the viral video that turned me into a cautionary tale overnight. But standing there on the sidewalk, divorce finalized, business thriving, heart cautiously cracking open to something new, I realized something. I wouldn't undo it. Not the confrontation, not the truth. Maybe I'd skip the punch. That had technically been assault. But everything else? Absolutely. Because 23 years of marriage and one spectacular betrayal had taught me this. Truth hurts. But it's still better than the most comfortable lie. Even if that truth ends up online. Even if strangers put it on t-shirts. My phone buzzed. A text from Elena. Can't wait for Saturday. P.S. already checked the restaurant's health inspection score, A+. I laughed out loud. People turned to look. Let them. I'd already had my 15 minutes of fame, the quarterly review guy. Now I was just David Garrison. Forensic accountant. Divorced dad. Viral video survivor. And maybe, just maybe, ready to try again. But first, there was tax fraud to untangle. Quarterly still meant 4 times a year. Some things never change.